Welcome back. In today's last lecture lesson, we will understand absolute macro, and for this, we shall copy and delete some text and assign the macro to a button. Now, absolute macro, by definition, is a macro that repeats the steps in the same location. So, if it is recorded somewhere, it is applied at the same cell or same range of cells. So you might wonder why this absolute macro is necessary. So let's use this example. Let's say we have to copy some text repeatedly from one location to another. So as an example, let me repeat this process first of all manually, and then I'll do that using a macro. So I'm going to sheet number 4, lesson 4, and I'm selecting this text, copying it, and let's say we paste it here. Okay, so assume that we need to repeat this process uh, every now and then, and after copying it, doing something with it, printing it, we want to then delete this whole text, and so that we have empty space in here. So these are the two steps which we need to repeat, let's say every now and then, and we want to do that using a macro. What are these steps? So from sheet lesson 4, we start from cell B3, go up to cell D8 and select this whole text, copy it, and we paste it exactly in cell B4. So these are the few steps that we need to repeat. Since the cell locations and the sheet names remain constant, we do not do these operations in one place and apply in another. Rather, we repeat this process in the same sheet and in the same cells. Hence, we can use an absolute macro for this. So absolute macro, repeating the steps in the same location, then absolute macro is okay. So let's start with this process. First of all, let me clarify let me clear the contents from both the from lesson 5. Our active cell is B4 and active cell here is B3. Actually, in absolute macro, it doesn't matter where the active cell is. What matters is that you start from a B3, it will be recorded in the process. So let's go to developer tab and remove the relative reference, since it is an absolute reference. So we remove it. Okay. And we want to start from here. So it should be part of the macro that we start from lesson 5, then we move on to lesson 4, to the sheet lesson 4. It should be part of the macro. Otherwise, if we start from here, each time the macro will start from here. So we want to start from lesson 5. go to macro. We will record a macro, so record a macro. This time make sure we give it appropriate name. Copy, paste, delete. And I'm not assigning any shortcut to it. So okay. The first step in this macro was to select the cell. The second step, we go to sheet lesson 4. This was our second step. Third step, from B3 in sheet lesson 4, we clicked on B3 and then we selected this whole text, copy. Next step, go to lesson 5, right click and paste, and I'm clicking on the last cell and then stop recording. So let's now see whether this has been properly recorded or not. I am deleting this and taking start from here. Go to macros. The macro name was copy, paste, delete. I run this macro, so now we see the text is here. Okay, I am deleting it. Now what I want is to assign this specific process to a clickable button. So I go to insert, I go to shapes and choose a shape that I prefer. Let's say this one with the rounded edges. In here I create some button and let's go assign some green color. Okay, and type some text in here. Let's say we type copy and expand the button. Okay, some more formatting can be done, like to bring the text to the center vertically and horizontally. And let's move the button here. Okay, now right click on this button, on this shape, and click on assign macro. We'll assign the copy, paste, delete macro, and now once we click it, it should bring the text to the required location. Let's say it is before. Yes, before. And we will record another macro inshallah tomorrow to delete this text. But for time being, I think that is sufficient. See you inshallah tomorrow and have a great day.